Okay, hi. It's my YouTube channel. I'm bored during quarantine, so I was like, let's make videos, yay. So this one is about why anybody can code, and this isn't about like logistically coding, so like it's nothing about like, oh, like it's the difference between Python and Java and C++ and all that. Like, no, you can Google that. It's not that serious. It's just more about the mindset people have while going into coding, whether that's in college or just like learning for yourself or whatever. I feel like a lot of people have this like, oh my god, computer science is so hard, like there's only a certain amount of people in this world who can do it, and that's it, and everybody else is screwed, like, oh, you didn't get the coding gene, it's over. But I'm kind of here to say that that's not really the truth. I have like 5 little reasons as to why I really do think anybody can do it, and what's like holding people back from doing it, like giving you the mindset of like, oh, this isn't for me. So yeah, I'm just gonna get into them. My first one is, I feel like a lot of people have this, oh my god, it's too late. And it's just with a lot of things, like, oh my god, it's too late, so I can't start this, like everybody's already done it and it's over. So when I entered college, I did not know how to code anything. Not one single thing. I couldn't print a line of code, like for coders. I couldn't even like print like hi on my console. I didn't know any of that. I knew nothing. And I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna go into this school as a computer science major, and all these kids are already gonna know like 2 or 3 languages. They've been coding since they were like born. It's over for me. It's too late. I'm gonna fall behind. I actually asked my orientation leader that what happens if I like fail too much. I haven't failed a class yet, but I actually asked, like, I was like, what if I just fail these classes? Like, what happens? And she was like, are you okay? Like, so yeah, I think that's a big thing, that, oh, it's too late. But I don't think it's ever too late to learn anything, like, right? People go into things really late and still learn them and come out fine. As a passion thing, like, you'll see adults, they'll be like, oh yeah, I started to learn dance when I was 30. Like, it's not that serious. It's never too late. So I think that's a big thing. And other people's progress has nothing to do with yours. Just because somebody else is doing really well at something and already has experience doesn't mean that you can't get there, right? Like, back in the day when like coding and stuff first became popular, there were people in their 20s who were just learning to code and they still went into the industry. Obviously not everybody wants to go into the industry, but like, that's an example. Just because somebody else is doing it before you doesn't mean that you suddenly can't. So I do think that's like important to remember, is that it's never too late for something like coding, or anything, but specifically I feel like that's a mindset that happens with coding because so many people have been doing it since like middle school. The other one is Imposter Syndrome. So like, I know when I got into the college I go to as a CS major, I was like, I have no business being here. I really don't. Like, I'm really not as smart as these people are going to be. And obviously that, it's really hard to fight out Imposter Syndrome when it comes to anything, but obviously you got there for a reason. Like, if you are entering college and that's your major of choice or whatever, you got there for a reason. It wasn't like they just looked at you, they're like, oh, I'm gonna pity this one specific random kid and just let them in. No, they saw something in your application or whatever and let you in. Or if you're just taking a coding class for fun and you're like, oh, I have imposter syndrome, like blah blah blah, I don't belong here. If you got in, you belong there. They didn't take pity on you. This wasn't a charity event that they're like, oh, this poor kid, let me just let them in. Like, no, you got there because you worked for it in whatever way it was. Or even if you're learning on your own, just for fun, like, that resource is available for everybody for a reason, right? If it was just for specific people on like Khan Academy or whatever, they'd be like, oh, by the way, if your name is this, or if you're this years old, you are not allowed to use this resource. But it's not like that, so there's that. Another one is, oh, this is a really interesting one. I'm a really lazy student. Like, I really live by the work smarter, not harder. Don't put in excess effort anywhere. I would say that my peers who I know who share that laziness gene tend to also be computer science majors. It's very interesting. I feel like we in general are very lazy, and actually one of my lecturers said this year too, that computer scientists tend to be lazy. I don't really think this is related to necessarily why you should do it, but if you have that and you're like worried, because that was one of the things I was worried about, I was like, I'm gonna have to work so hard, because there's no cheating in coding. Like, I'm just letting you know right now, in anything you can BS something. There's no BSing, there's no cheating. You have to put in 100% of the effort because the code has to work, right? But yeah, like, I'm lazy as shit and it still worked out. Ooh, it's okay, it happens. So yeah, laziness is not really an issue. And I think another way to look at it is it's really just like solving riddles, especially if you're just taking an introduction class, just to kind of learn the basics. You'll see that a lot of the problems that you're given, whether it's on tests or just like as assignments, or if you're learning on your own and you're on Khan Academy, a lot of those assignments you're given is like solving riddles. They're like giving you this like little problem and they're like, oh, write the code to solve it, to automate this, so you don't actually have to type out the solution. You don't have to do like the math or whatever and type it out and like print it out. And that's like the whole point of it. Like if you really think about it, that's all coding is, right? It's like automating something that would normally take a lot of human effort. And so it's really cool. So like if you're like into riddles and stuff, I know that sounds like kind of lame, but it's kind of interesting. Like sometimes I'll be doing my homework or something and I actually just sit there and I'll do it for hours, which I can't do with anything else, but I'll just sit there and I'll do it for hours because like I'm like stuck. And you know when you get stuck and you're trying to solve something and it's like fun, you're like, why isn't this working? So you keep going, and so I think that's a important little aspect too. And the last one is, this is just for girls, but I definitely, even though there's like all this push for girls in STEM and like girls who code and stuff like that, I was like, this is not a space for women. And I'm not gonna lie to you, sometimes I still feel like there's not a space, this is not a space for women. I still feel some animosity sometimes, but it's not just for guys. Like I know they say there's hard STEM and soft STEM, and hard STEM tends to be like the one that guys are in, and then soft STEM like bio is supposed to be easy apparently. Since when is bio easy? But that's like for women. Coding doesn't have a gender. Like it really doesn't have a gender. The only reason girls aren't in coding right now is because they've been told and subconsciously believe that it's just for men. Same reason I think girls aren't in physics and stuff like that is because they just subconsciously believe that it's just for men. So that's my little short video. Yay. Anybody can code. Please take an introductory coding class. It's actually really fun. I normally do not sponsor any kind of studying, any kind of school, any kind of education. I don't like learning things, but if there's one thing I sponsor, please, like I love it. It's so much fun. I think it's really useful. I think a lot of people, even not in tech industry or whatever, when they know a little bit of coding, they say that, oh, you know what, like even though my career has nothing to do with it, like it actually really helped me. This introductory class I took in college shockingly benefited me in some way in the future. So I think that's important. Take it, have fun, do what you want. That's it, that's the video. Bye. Oh my god.